Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
So this week's parsha is Tetzaveh, and it primarily deals with the garments of the high priest. And I believe later on Rashi will explain to us how each individual garment came to atone for a specific kind of sin. And what we are dealing with is a lot of detail on a garment called an ephod. And I'm going to show you a picture of that now because it's so important to have some illustrations of what the Torah is describing. So here goes. I'm going to try. Yes. And I'm going to see if I can mess around with this once I have the share. Let me see here. I don't need to do that, but here we go. All right, that's what I have. Hold on a second. Move it over. Be sure you're muted if you will, please. Let's see what I can. Well, there we go. That's what I wanted. This is the ephod. This is the ephod. And we're going to see today, it's going to talk a little bit about the onyx stones. And I'm going to make this larger, try to get a point where it's not entirely pixelated. These are the onyx stones that wound up, these were shoulder straps. And this wound up right on the shoulder of the high priest. And you can see there was an extension there. And what I'll do is I'll see if I can show you some other pictures too. We'll see if I can manage that. At any rate, and it describes in detail how these onyx stones were encircled by a frame of gold. That's this here. So you can see that this is sort of like an apron. By the way, 6 of the tribes were engraved here.
Your cursor is nowhere near the picture. You keep saying here and here, but you're not touching the picture.
Well, according to my
go back. We're seeing your menu.
Really?
Can you make that picture big and eliminate the rest of the
stuff? I actually thought I had. All I have is okay, I know what's happened. Okay, this opened up. I know why this is happening. All right,
I think you just need to double click on that where it says the Ephod Kohen. I think if you double click on that, it'll open it.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me see if this works now. I know what happened. Okay, it doesn't allow me to open up another picture when I'm sharing. So let me see what I can do here. I think you will like this more. How's that? Is that, as they say,
that's it? Thank you.
Is that more better?
Yes, that's it. And it's clear. It's not pixelated. It's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and do you see how I'm increasing the size now?
Yep.
So, and now you can see where my cursor is. That's what happened. All right. So I wasn't able to manipulate the computer and still have you share see what I was seeing. All right. So these are the onyx stones here. Now you can see where my cursor is in the right place. Is that good? Yes?
Good. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So 6 of the tribes, the names here, 6 of the tribes named here. What I was saying is you notice these are shoulder straps. These hang over in front a little bit. It talks about how these onyx stones were encircled with a rim of, or a square or a frame of gold, of pure gold. This is the Moshe Cohen book that I'm showing you that I think just has such wonderful illustrations of these things or reproductions of what was going on there. This totally opened up this section of Exodus for me. Before that, I was just reading words because I'm not good at visualizing. So I'm going to see if I can make this small again. So I want you to see. So Rashi, in talking about the ephod, right? We don't even have an English word to describe this, but he describes it as an apron that women used to wear when they were riding. So this is actually a backward. This doesn't fit on the front as our aprons generally do, but fits around your back. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to see if I can find the other pictures that I have so that you can see them. Excuse me 1 second. so that you can see them. All right, here is, I want you to just see in general what the Kohen looked like. This is what the ephod looked like in the front. Give me a moment, and I'm going to let you see that. I'm going to share again. I'm afraid I can't do this elegantly, but I'll try. This is it in color. This is what the high priest looked like with the ephod. So this is the ephod here, and how it's coming up around the back, and you can't see the onyx stones here, but it is going to describe these squares and these chains. I'm just anticipating. This is also the choshen. This is called the choshen, the breastpiece, and it was also attached through these blue. There are these. I don't know if you can barely see it. A little better, so you can see how there are these blue straps that attach the bottom, so it doesn't go back and forth as he's walking. So I'm going to stop this share and let you see it look from the back. One moment. This is the ephod from the back. In one moment. In here. Okay. That's it from the back. You're seeing it. So you see how this apron goes around his back, and here the shoulder straps going up over here. And now, because if I were to try to just describe it without these pictures, you can imagine how difficult it would be to understand the construction of the ephod. The ephod specifically came to atone for idolatry. And it's possible, if I were capable, to think through how the actual construction of the ephod operates as a symbol of atonement for idolatry. I do want to talk about idolatry for a moment. Yechezkel Kaufman, one of the, a scholar, I guess, of the earliest or mid 20th century, that's when he was lived in Israel, I believe, wrote a book about the religion of Israel in Hebrew, major work, been translated into English, at least some of it's been translated into English. And he makes he does make a point about the fact that the way idolatry is described essentially in the Bible is fetishism. And there's a difference between fetishism and idolatry. I may have mentioned this last year. It's quite possible. It's a major theme, because if you really do understand idolatry, you realize that it's alive and well and kicking, and many people, actually wind up, it's possible to worship idols, except the way the Bible describes it, one thinks of it as, worshiping sculptures and things like that. That is not the essence of idolatry. The essence of idolatry is the idea of worshiping anything other than the supreme, transcendent, sole creator of the universe. In other words, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And what does it mean to worship? That's another question, right? When we use this term worship, what do we really mean? And what we're saying is that we place it as the ultimate source of confidence, strength, power, etc., and the most important thing to us in the world. So whatever you think is the most important thing in the world, as you try to reduce in your mind what you feel, that becomes it. So it's so easy to see how money has become that idol. I mean, to a great extent, not for everybody, but for a great amount of the population, because money allows you, it gives you power, at least it's perceived as power, and other kind controls and things like that, as opposed to devoting yourself to trying to serve the supreme creator of the universe. So idolatry is still an issue. It is still an issue, but we just don't think of it in the kinds of terms where, in fact, it's being practiced. I think we tend to sort of see it as ritualistic, but the truth is, there's so much in our own lives that involves ritual of some kind. We don't even realize it. I mean, even getting up and brushing your teeth every single morning before you get, when you get up in the morning, we all have these rituals because it helps us negotiate life, because you can't have to reinvent every little moment and every practice that you have. So at some point you want to think about what you're doing and sort of organize and prioritize how you live your life. And of course, it all adds up to some very important stuff. But being able to internalize this and not be angry about it and feel comfortable about this.
Can I just
Please.
In the worldview that you're presenting of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob versus something else that's taking up your primary focus. Okay. So I want to suggest that sometimes one of those things is family, which can tear you apart from God's commandments. And that is one of the most difficult struggles to balance if you have a family that is not interested. But family is one thing. And my family has very often taken me away from the kind of observance I prefer to have in order to be with them in some way or the other, like, for instance, every Passover. But the other things like sports and people and leisure, maybe even health, because we keep complaining, Rabbi, to you that you're neglecting your own health sometimes, but you're saying, but yes, I need to do this, get up and, with alacrity to do the mitzvot and study this and prepare that. And I understand that the focus can be, so when it's something like family and health, yes, you really need to think about that balance and as much as possible. When it comes to something more, like sports and leisure, and people want to say, well, Shabbos, but hey, the football game's on, or why go to shul when the football game's on, or they manipulate their life in all kinds of ways just to make sure they have access to that game that they want, whatever it takes to get, whatever cable channel or whatever to, and adjusting your time. And I kind of feel like this with Jeopardy sometimes, but it's just like, so sports,
Or the
so
arts,
overblown because like family and health, that's one thing. It can take you away from God, but they're very, very important in your life. Family and health.
I appreciate.
Not according to the Kosker Rebbe.
Okay.
Because he would choose.
Yes, he would. He would.
I'm just saying.
Right. But let me respond to what you're saying, because it was a huge issue for me too. Okay, because especially for me and my wife to begin with, in the early years of our marriage, we used to fight over religious practice, and I, there's a statement that says that the greatest gift God ever gave to men was their wives, and that it's a huge gift. And the truth is that my wife gave me an incredible gift in forcing me to exactly examine what you're talking about. Now, yes, I happen to agree with you, actually, that family has to take it. It's got to be at least second, okay? But even in a case like you're talking about, I mean, I'm fortunate that you have to think strategically. You have to think strategically. And if all you do is push back, guess what? Push back. On the other hand, if you're willing to compromise, if a person cares about you and you're willing to compromise, very often you can achieve a lot more, again, thinking strategically. And just making big arguments and being and acting in a way that you're holier than thou and all that kind of stuff is such a turnoff. And what you're really accomplishing is pushing people away from coming close. And so they really are. I mean, there's statements like that. We even have it in the prayer book, right? It's a quote that's now there, is be like the disciples of Aaron. Isn't that interesting? Disciple of Aaron, the high priest, right? Loving your fellow human beings. And it says, and bringing them close to God. And when you act as a loving person, which means you have to, as I said, you have to think strategically. So it doesn't mean you're putting God second. You're still putting God first, but you're doing it in a way that rather is we talk about keruv, right? Bringing people close. And it doesn't mean you're worshiping idols. You have to realize life isn't black and white. And the truth is that when you're doing art, right? What creates a realistic three-dimensional picture on a two-dimensional piece of paper is something called shading. Shading. And that's how I know I have to try and live my life and practice my religion. I'm not gonna run off to a monastery. And yes, it's wonderful being with people who share your values and things like that. But I'm not an Orthodox rabbi. I'm not an Orthodox rabbi both externally and internally, because I really believe there are all kinds of pathways to God. And even then, had you wanted to correct me about what I said about Abraham, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, well, I think there are plenty of other religions that don't necessarily have the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and nevertheless aren't idolatries. They're just expressing it in a different way, because our Creator, it's this lovely, lovely parable that I really love this parable. To me, it's the parable that's the basis of interfaith work, which is when a human king mints coins, all those coins are identical. But when the divine king mints coins, they all look different. And to my mind, the fact that there are various and different kinds of religions, actually, to me, is a glorification of the divine. That's part of and I hope, very honestly, some of the biggest lessons I have ever learned came from other religions. Recently, I've been mentioning one great lesson, which is, whatever you want, give. Whatever you want, give. You want respect? Give respect. You want love? Give love. You want money? Give money. One of the greatest truths I ever heard was not from a Jewish source. And I would like to hope that is actually, that in practicing my religion in that particular way, even though I have tremendous respect for people who go to the nth degree to try and practice the mitzvot, because I understand that, at least I understand where it's coming from, is from a desire to express deep, deep love for the divine. I cannot go on that kind of level. It's not something I'm capable of for a whole bunch of reasons. And nor do I think it's necessarily desirable for me, because there are many pathways. And hopefully, if I bring people closer, just, by trying to be a decent example, for all the warts and the misstatements and stuff like that, that's, I hope, is something that is pleasing. I hope that's the incense I'm offering. Anyway, let's get back. Thanks, Lauren. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It was a major correction that needed to be made to my statement that I made initially. And if there are any other thoughts about this.
Well, and I'm also glad you brought up the thing about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because I was also concerned about that particularism.
No, exactly. I agree. It needed, well, it's very hard to to tell the truth briefly. Very hard. Okay, let's go back into some of the illustrations. Let's see if I can find some more here for you. Okay, give me a moment here. Okay, I'm afraid I may have to, oh, yes. Here's another, this is actually something to do with this. Again, this is a detail. I don't know if we saw this particular one showing, sorry, forgive me. There we go. Okay, I think we saw this one already. It's just, yeah, you saw this. So give me a chance to stop this share. And give me a moment to look at my computer here for other things. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just looking carefully. All right, this is a close-up I believe I wanted you to see. I probably need to close some of the other pictures that I have open. This is a little bit, this is the close-up I had hoped to show you. There we are. This is lovely because you can see clearly, and I can again and try to enlarge it. Give me a moment here. Sometimes it's cooperating and sometimes it's not. Okay, it's not letting me increase the size of this. But you do see, of course, here what we're talking about, right? The onyx stones on his shoulders. But you do get to see some other details of this band he had, which said Kodesh Lashem, holy to the Lord. So that would obviously have to do with his thoughts. Okay. Breastpiece was a breastpiece of judgment, how we judge things with our hearts, possibly. Maybe that's why it's over the heart, and how it's connected to the ephod. Go ahead. I think somebody want to comment?
Yeah, where's the 12 tribes? I can't see the writing on that shoulder there.
Hold on a second. 1 second, please. Okay, no, you can't see them. He doesn't have them actually. This is a miniature, Harlan. It's a miniature model of the tabernacle. So we just have to understand that. And of course, we had 12 stones here, these various precious and semi-precious stones that represented the 12 tribes. So let me stop this share and let me go to the text. Let me see what I can do to find the text. Sorry, give me a sec here. I just need to close some windows here to find the text and then be able to share it. Here we are. Okay. So this is where we left off from a year ago. And here it's talking about, so here it's saying, up here, verse 9, it says, V'lakachta et shtei avnei shoham, you shall take 2 stones, even stones of onyx, upitachta alehem shmot b'nei Israel, and you should engrave upon them the names of the children of Israel. That's where we got to last year. Shisha mishmotam al ha'even ha'echat, 6 of their names on 1 stone, the etshmot hashisha hanotarim, and the names of the 6 remaining al ha'even hashenit on the 2nd stone, ketoldotam, according to their generations. That little detail, that one word is so helpful, because how would you know which names to put on which stone, and what order would you put the names? So ketoldotam, according to their birth. And let's take a look at the Rashi.
This is, by the way, chapter 28, verse
Yes,
10.
forgive me. Yes, exactly. Thanks, Lauren. So he says, ketoldotam, keseder shenoldu. Rashi says, according to the order in which they were born. You have to go all the way back to Genesis and see how they're born. And here he goes. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Dan, Naphtali, Judah, Dan, and Naphtali. I believe that Dan and Naphtali were, I'm trying to think whether they were from Leah herself or whether in fact they were from her maidservant, Zilpah. Going on, and I'm going to explain these little red marks that I put in here. Al-achat, al-ha'echat on the 1 stone, va'al ha'shenit, and on the 2nd stone, Gad, va'asher, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, uVinyamin. Gad, Asher, Yisachar, Zevulun, Yosef, and Benjamin, the other 6. Okay, Malay. He makes a point that Binyamin, right, is spelt with both yuds. Okay, bin ya min, that the yud here, that's Malay, full, for the vowel there. So it could be that Binyamin is normally spelt without the yud at the end. And in truth, generally speaking, when it comes to names, personal names, Hebrew spells in what is called chaser. That's the word that they use to describe the fact that you don't use the vowel letters in the names for a great extent. So, yeah, okay. Shekain hu katov b'makom toldato. He says, and the reason why you have this spelling like that, excuse me, is because that's the way it's written in the place where they are born. Now, he could mean Malay here, meaning that all the names are written in the full sense, with the full vowels, the vowel letters. And he's going to explain to you why. Kaf he otiot, that if you total the number of letters in those names, you wind up with 25 letters, b'chol achat v'achat, so that each stone, each onyx stone, in having the names, adds up to 25 letters. Well, the reason why I have these little red markings here is because when I counted up the letters, I got 26 and 27, and that didn't equal up. And I realized that the vav, which simply means and, right, needs to not be counted. So if we count up the letters, and I'm happy to do it with you right now, so let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So you can see I have to leave out the vavs, which simply mean and, right? They're not part of the name. And on the same one, right, let's give it a shot. I have to pray that I'm going to come out with the right number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So look at this, 22, 23. What am I leaving out? Because there are 25. So I must have not counted correctly. So let's go ahead. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There we are. So maybe I left out God the second time I counted. But you see there are 25 letters on both sides. There we are. So we probably should stop right here. Let me make the marking. And we'll start tomorrow with verse 11. Let's mark the Rashi here, but we'll start here. Right there. And I'm going to stop the share. And we can say Kaddish de Rabbanan. Is there anyone who needs to say Kaddish at this point?
Yeah, I do.
I don't hear.
Carlin,
I
did you
did.
say?
Harlan, do you want to do it?
I'll give it a try.
If you're more comfortable, you can be my responder.
Okay, I will. I'll be a responder. Okay.
Okay, I need
Rabbi,
everybody. Yes.
You could, stop the recording so people can come
Yes.
through, but I think Harlan can do the full Kaddish. He's done it for, 80 years or so.
Well, this is Kaddish de Rabbanan, and that's why he might not be as comfortable.
He's done that for at least 50